What's up, guys? This is Cole Adams, and you're watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
The mix of salty sea air and burnt rubber. The big skies, high banks, and grandstands. The rumble in your chest. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. Honoring history and making it. At the biggest race of the year on the biggest stage of a lifetime. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. You gotta see it to believe it. Secure your experience now at Daytona500.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. It's great to be with you today from our podcast studio inside the LLH Healthcare Advantage Center at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium, where we've been busy the last few days recording some football player interviews for the next few weeks of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. But it is an open date. It's a little bit different of a week for us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We did not have this show on Tuesday, and today's edition really more than anything focuses on Alabama basketball, but we'll have some football content as well as we look back to the South Carolina win and look forward to what's coming up in November, starting with the 3 games in a row at home, starting with the LSU Tigers. We'll go through everything coming up on the show today, plus our headlines thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. Let's see first of all what's coming up on the show this afternoon. We'll take a look back to the booth cam presented by Regions Bank on Saturday. A fun time at Williams-Brice Stadium as Alabama rallies in the fourth quarter to win against South Carolina. All the booth cam highlights will be coming up first. And then we'll take you to Mountain Brook, Alabama, to the Grand Bohemian Hotel for SEC Basketball Media Days, which were a couple weeks ago in the Birmingham area. And we were able to record interviews with Alabama coaches and student athletes. Nate Oats, Christy Curry, plus Richard Hendricks joined us for some player interviews as well. So plenty of basketball content to get you ready for next week. Then we'll close out the show with Be Kind Crimson Tide Rewind, taking a look back to the best moments from Monday night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind as Tyler Watts gives you his thoughts on Alabama's win against South Carolina. Speaking of that win over the Gamecocks, dramatic fashion, but Alabama got it done. 29-22 was the final score on Saturday. Jeremy Bernard, the go-ahead touchdown after the great takeaway. Deontay Lawson forcing that fumble. Tim Keenan picking it up. And then the game-ending sack as well by Keon Keeley. Just a tremendous win for Alabama as the Crimson Tide have now won 7 games in a row. Crimson Tide improving to 5-0 in SEC play. Now this week, no game. It's the second open date of the season, but the Crimson Tide will return on Saturday, November 8th to welcome in the LSU Tigers. And earlier this week, we learned the start time for that game, 6:30 p.m. under the lights at Saban Field. That means our radio coverage will start at 3:30 all across the network. Taking a look at Alabama basketball, first of all, the men's team played its final exhibition on Sunday and went to Greenville, South Carolina to the newly renovated Timmons Arena on campus at Furman University. Strong showing by Alabama in that ballgame, winning 96-71 over the Paladins. That was the final exhibition game. Now some practice this week for the Crimson Tide, getting ready for Monday night and the season opener. It'll be a 7 p.m. tip-off against North Dakota, a team that the Crimson Tide played last year. Our airtime will be 6 across the network. That'll be right after the women's basketball game. Of course, they had an exhibition as well on Sunday, beating the University of West Florida 93-44 in Tuscaloosa. Now, Christy Curry and the women's team, they'll get ready for a 4 p.m. tip-off against Stetson on that Monday. A fun doubleheader coming up at Coleman Coliseum to start the 2025-2026 basketball season. Then other notes on Alabama athletics. The soccer team is advancing to the SEC tournament, and they will start their run with the very first game of the SEC tournament down in Pensacola, Florida. 11:30 a.m. will be the start time for Alabama against South Carolina. That will be televised, as all matches are, throughout the SEC tournament on the SEC network. Meanwhile, for the volleyball team, a tough weekend this past week against 2 of the better teams in the SEC, falling to Tennessee and Kentucky. Now coming up this week, they will go to Oxford for a Halloween night matchup against the Ole Miss Rebels at 6 p.m. Sometimes it can be scary to go to Columbia, South Carolina, especially around Halloween. It's a tough place to play, and for Alabama, it was nearly a scary Saturday for Alabama, trailing late in the fourth quarter, but Kalen DeBoer and the Crimson Tide got it done against the South Carolina Gamecocks. And as we look back to our booth cam highlights presented by Regions Bank, you'll notice as the video goes on, the mood in the booth gets better and better as that game went along. We were certainly nervous for a spell, but it improved as Alabama rallied for the victory. Here's a look at our booth cam highlights from South Carolina, again presented by Regions Bank.
And set kickoff for the Crimson Tide. As usual, Connor Talty approaches the football, and we're underway. Play action from Sellers. Pressure coming. Unloads it at the last moment. Bobbled, picked off, intercepted, on his feet, into the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. Deshaun Jones caught the deflection, and the pick six for Alabama gives the Tide a 6-3 lead.
Well, partner, you called it in the timeout. You said, I sure would like to see a turn.
Two wideouts left, one right, two men in the backfield to the right of Sellers. He'll look to throw across the middle. Catch is made, and oh, mercy, what a hit. Justin Jefferson leveled the man who made the grab. A heck of a play hanging on to it. But that chicken got defeathered. Sporting Williams and Bernard wide left. Simpson looking to throw, stepping up in the pocket, scrambling to his right, fires, has a man, catches made, Daniel Hill 30, still on his feet, 20, 15, stumbles and down at the 6-yard line. Bank first down, what a grab, Daniel Hill, 42 yards on a great read and improv on the part of Alabama's Ty Simpson. In motion, Bernard, Simpson, looking, firing, catch, touchdown. Josh Cuevas makes the grab in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. 4 yards on the strike.
All kinds of motion. Pre-snap tips the hat. Carolina's running zone coverage, so you know you're going to have guys come open late if your offensive line can hold up. They do. And you have Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard working to Ty Simpson's left. He comes back to Cuevas across the middle on a deep end, and he's wide open.
One to the right for Sellers. And a man in the backfield. He gets the snap, blitz coming, and he's going to go down. What a play, Justin Jefferson. Got the sack, held on for dear life. Timeout, Alabama. Simpson snaps it, swings it out near side to Ryan Williams. Breaks a tackle, stays on his feet, spins, stretches forward near the 30.
Definitely in 4-down territory from here on out. You got to have a touchdown.
Do indeed, and you got to have a 2-point conversion afterwards with Bama down 22-14. The game clock down to 5 minutes now. The play clock is at 14 seconds. Play action to him. Ty looking, swings it to Jam, gets a block from Cuevas, gets inside the 20, lowers his head and runs forward to the 13-yard line. Everybody bunched in tight for Alabama. Play action, he'll roll left. Ty looking, wants to run, gets to the 10 and gets out of bounds around the 8-yard line. Now the snap to Ty, the dump off to Jeremy. He walks into the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. And the Tide will go for two with 2:16 to play to try to knock the score at 22. Four-man front for the Gamecocks. It looks like a direct snap to Ty. He'll roll, he'll flip it in the air, caught Cuevas. It's a 2-point conversion. The direct snap actually went to Daniel Hill, who flipped it to Ty, who then threw it to Cuevas for the 2-point conversion. And we are deadlocked at 22. I saw it, I just couldn't describe it. But on the redo, I got it. Two wideouts each side, quarterback draw. Sellers stacked up. Tim Keenan grabbed him, and he got some help. The ball may have come out late, but I think it's going to be South Carolina football. But third and a couple. Did Bama take it away? They're talking it over. They say it's Bama's football. There was a pile
on the field
the end.
Is a fumble recovered by the defense. First down, Alabama.
Wow.
Now, this is going to be close whether or not the knees were down. But I believe it was Deontay Lawson who ripped it out, and Tim Keenan looked down, and it was right in his belly.
We think Tim Keenan's the one that came out with it, and Bama's got it 1st and 10 at the 38-yard line of South Carolina with 1:39 to go and all 3 timeouts remaining. And the Wildcat, Jeremy getting the snap, fakes the flip, keeps it himself. 20, 15, Jeremy 10, Jeremy 5. With 34 seconds seconds remaining.
That's the guy you want in open space in a one-on-one situation. Heck of a job by Jaden Roberts kicking a defender out. And then Jeremy Bernard able to make a man miss and tiptoe down the sideline and squeeze inside the pylon.
Sellers looking, pressure coming. He's going to go down. Sacked again by Alabama. And the clock's going to run out. And Bama's going to win it. 29-22. And for the love, let's get out of here. What a ball game. As Bama battles back place. And the fourth-ranked team in America gets it done. Its seventh win of the year. Another one now in SEC play. Their fifth. And the misery continues for South Carolina. But oh, what a glorious day for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
The booth cam will be up and running once again thanks to our friends at Regions Bank for Alabama against LSU coming up in a couple of weeks here at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Again, kickoff at 6:30 and our airtime will be 3:30 all across the network. We're really excited that it's almost basketball season. That's why this show is usually always kind of dedicated to basketball. Yes, we have some football content today, but a few weeks ago we had the great chance to go to the Grand Bohemian Hotel in Mountain Brook, a suburb in Birmingham, and have conversations with Alabama coaches and student athletes for SEC Basketball Media Days. And for the first time, it was Alabama men's and women's basketball on the same day in Mountain Brook. So I was able to have conversations with Alabama head coach Nate Oats of the men's basketball team, get to learn more about his group, as well as Christy Curry with the women's basketball team, as they were only a couple of days away from both teams having a strong showing against Florida State in that exhibition matchup at Boutwell Auditorium, Ballin in Boutwell. So there's a little bit of conversation on that coming up from the coaches, but they give you a sense of where their teams are as the preseason wraps up and the season's about to begin. Welcome to SEC Basketball Tip-Off here in Mountain Brook. Roger Hoover now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nate Oats. And Coach, mid-October, almost time for the season. You excited to play somebody else, first of all?
No, we are, and we're getting tired of beating up on each other. So, I think Florida State will be a good test. Luke came from the NBA. They're going to soon play fast, open, modern basketball. Something similar to what we play, so at least we'll be prepared to hopefully play similar styles since we've been guarding that in practice every day for about 4 months now, it seems. So, but no, we're excited to play somebody else, get everybody on the same team instead of just going against each other and shoot two exhibitions, and the season's here, and we get after it right away.
We look forward to it. You mentioned how good the offense has been so far in preseason. How about the defense? How's that coming along for this group?
You know what? The defense is coming. I think our perimeters are defending better. We've got length in the perimeter. Got some new guys with some length. We've got to get our interior guys protect the rim a little bit better. But, they're working. I thought we've had a couple good days in a row of practice. So I think Taylor's starting to pick it up. Aiden, I thought, had a couple good days of practice. So we just need those guys to really be cognizant of the fact they got to protect the rim. So they're not, we don't have like elite level athletes like maybe we did with Grant and Cliff, but I think we've got guys with size that when they're focused and where they're supposed to be can definitely protect the rim. And Aiden's a big strong kid that's got burst of athleticism when he's focused on what he needs to do. But I think the defense will be, Brian Adams has been in college for a year now. I think he's got a better feel for what goes on in college. He's doing a good job. He's really taken ownership of it, studied a lot in the offseason. He works really hard. I think he's doing a great job with it, and we'll get it figured out.
Houston Mallette's been listed as one of the breakout candidates in college basketball this year. What have you seen from him the last few weeks? What season do you expect out of him?
He's good. He's really good. He's smart, works hard, doesn't miss many open shots, knows how to get his way to get an open shot. He studies the game. He thinks the game. He's constantly preparing himself. He watches every day at practice. He comes back with questions. I'm excited for him. His knees are back healthy. Clark's done a really good job getting him, physically ready to play. So, I'm excited for Houston to play games.
Final question, what do you like about this schedule, especially the early weeks in November that'll get you ready to get going?
Man, we loaded up maybe stronger than we ever have. I think 4 of our first 5, I think, are against ranked opponents. And, right out of the gate, I think 2 of our first 3 are against top 5 teams. So we'll figure out how good we are pretty quick.
Welcome back to SEC basketball tip-off here in Mountain Brook. Roger Hoover now joined by the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Christy Curry. Coach, roll Tide. You got to be excited for the season to start.
Oh, it's the best time of year, and it's always good to see you at Media Day.
What have you learned about your team so far throughout the preseason?
A lot, having them all summer and then having the chance to be with them in the preseason. 8 returnees. I think they bring a lot of experience. 3 transfers, 4 freshmen. So it's a deep and versatile team, and we're really excited about what the future holds. They're a work in progress, but man, what a joy to coach. Their energy, their effort, and they want to continue the tradition that we have in place. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see the evolution of this team.
You mentioned some returners coming back. It's got to be an extra boost as well when you get some players back that we missed last year due to injury.
Definitely. I mean, we were so excited. Jessica Timmons, having missed the season with that ACL, but she is full go. Actually practiced with us in January and February. But now knowing all of that was a blessing in disguise, and I know she's going to have a breakout season. Extremely versatile, physical, fits the SEC prototype guard-wise. And then Naomi Jones is healthy, and so excited for her and the potential that she has to give us as much post depth as we've ever had. It's the deepest post depth right now, healthy. And then Rachel Douglas is back from her ACL, so. We return 8, but really return 5, and those 3 are going to make the 8, and we're excited about, the veteran leadership that we have.
Especially Naomi with Essence. Could we see both of them on the floor at the same time? That's pretty tough to go against.
Yeah, it is, especially on the boards. I think that's one of the areas that we have to continue to improve from a year ago is our rebounding, and I think the size. Essence has really worked hard on her perimeter skills, so I think that gives you a chance to play both of them a couple of minutes together. But they're a lot of fun to watch. They both understand the system, style of play, and we look to be more post-oriented than we've probably been because of the post depth. I think that, those 2, along with Alancia Ramsey and Joy Igbuna, we have an opportunity in Lourdes Da Silva at the 4. You can move Essence inside and out. I think there's a lot of versatility with the roster at the post position.
And then, of course, Carly Weathers here today in Birmingham. What kind of hard work has she put in getting ready for this senior season?
Incredible. When you think about it, she's been to 3 straight NCAA tournaments. She'll graduate in 4 years in May with her nursing degree. I don't think she's made a B. She's a lot smarter than I am. But it's just the character. It's the work ethic. She brings a level of grit and gratitude and love for the university that's contagious with our program. And to see what she's done and how she's gone about it, she's the epitome of what every student athlete should be.
So she's one of the veterans. How about the newcomers, especially the freshmen? How have they started to transition to playing here?
I have everybody say, hey, what newcomers? I expect them all to contribute. It's one of the deepest teams we've had. I think that it's very competitive right now. And so playing time is earned. I think, though, the competitiveness that our 7 new faces bring, our 4 freshmen, a top 20 class, our 3 transfers, it's a lot of fun to watch every day. So it is constantly evolving. They all have a chance to contribute, and it challenges our returnees. So I love the competition in practice.
We love to hear that. And again, a lot of games coming up November and December at Coleman Coliseum. We want to see the fans there. Coach, can't wait for the season to start. Thank you for your time. Roll Tide.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
This isn't just a race, it's the race. 500 miles of glory, 1 million memories, one place. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. You gotta see it to believe it. Secure your experience now at Daytona500.com.
I had the opportunity to catch up with the head coaches. We went to our main basketball analyst here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, Richard Hendricks, to talk to the players. Richard, of course, a great analyst on the SEC Network. He's joined us several times on the radio as well, and coming up during the basketball season, he'll join us at least once a month for Hoops with Hendricks, giving his thoughts on Alabama men's and women's basketball, plus around the SEC and around the game in general. But it was fun to have Richard join us in Mountain Brook for the event, and he first of all caught up with Alabama women's basketball players Carly Weathers and Jessica Timmons. Then you'll hear his one-on-one conversation as well with Labaron, Philon, and Houston Mallette from the men's basketball team. Let's go to our SEC Basketball Media Days correspondent, Richard Hendricks.
We're here in Birmingham, Alabama with SEC Media Days. We're here alongside Jessica Timmons and Carly Weathers. Tell me a little bit about your experience and what you're looking forward to getting here from SEC Media Day.
Yeah, it's just the first time, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime type thing. Just getting to interact with so many different people and getting to speak about the culture of our program and just grow the University of Alabama women's basketball program through our outreach through SEC Media Day. So I'm just really excited about that.
It's just a blessed opportunity coming from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham, only an hour drive. So kind of sitting in the car, letting Coach Christie know I was thankful for this opportunity to present Alabama. But most importantly, just having the opportunity to talk about how great of a team we have, the versatility we have, as well as, the talent.
And Justin, you were down last year with some injuries and an off-season, a strong off-season. Tell a little bit about what being out has helped you to develop your game and how much you're looking forward to the next season.
Yeah, so my perspective on being out, it shed a lot of light on the kind of teammates I have, the coaches, and as well as the organization we have to get me back within a year. But taking the role on being kind of a leader, and then that voice that players have last year to not only motivate them, but just to see what I see on the bench, and hopefully that can help me become a better leader and player on the floor this year.
And Carly, known as being a glue player on the team, been here for your 4th season in the program. Speak a little bit about how much your leadership will continue to grow and what you expect for yourself this upcoming season.
Just trying to grow from last year. I got to play with some awesome people. It's just a brand new role for me because I am that senior and I am that veteran leader, and I have been here the longest, and so I have a lot of experience in this program, and so it's just bringing others along with me and making sure that everybody understands the culture and what we stand on, our core values of grit, love, and gratitude, and just expanding on that as we bring in more players and continue to build a legacy.
You had a lot of success, but this is a new team that you have. What are your expectations for this upcoming season?
I don't think the expectations ever changed. We're still wanting to make an NCAA tournament and do as well as we can in SEC play. Like you just said, we have so many new people, but we also have 8 returners, and so just us 8 returners making sure that everybody understands the standard and what we're trying to achieve this year.
Jessica, you talked a little bit about your leadership role, and obviously you learned a lot.
Yeah.
But was there anything that you added to your game in the offseason when you were down that you hope to showcase this year when you make your return?
Yeah, I have a lot. Everyone's just going to have to see that. But the team I have, it's just about grit, love, and just going out there and playing for my girls beside me, my sisters, and, just leaving a good example for the younger kids or girls that want to play. But you guys are just going to have to see how good I am when I come out there.
There we go. Well, thank y'all so much, and roll tide. We're here with Houston Mallette and Labaron Philon here at SEC Media Days in Birmingham, Alabama. Guys, just tell us a little bit about your experience and what you're looking for from SEC Media Days.
I heard it was a great experience. This is our first time, my first time here, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be a fun experience. The SEC is a great league, and, they care about their players, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be a fun event, and, we're going to hang around here for a little bit and get everything done and have some fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. It's a blessing. Trelly was telling us about it on the car right here. He said it's a lot of fun, but yeah, the SEC, it's the best conference in the country. It just means more, so we're really excited to be here.
What's your expectations for yourself and for the team this season?
To just get better overall. We got a lot of new guys. It was great having Barron return and Trelly return and all the guys return. So we're just excited to get better every day. We got a game here in the next 2 days, so we're just preparing to get better and play the best of our abilities.
A lot of experience last year, your freshman year, and high expectations for you in your sophomore year. What are your personal goals and expectations for yourself and the team this season?
Really just keep being myself, really. Keep harping, just keep trying to get better and keep trying to get better with the new guys that we got. I'm pretty sure, those guys are going to come in and do a great job. They've been listening well to, to us returners, and, they believe in us to guide them in the right way and, get them what Coach Oats wants, while you're on the floor. And it's just like new guys, it's a whole new team. So I would say, we had to take a little time to get connected, but I'm pretty sure, all of us going to be on the same page, Thursday. So that's a great thing that, we get the chance to play here in Birmingham in the next 2 days.
New team, but new expectations, same expectations that you have, high expectations for this season. What have you done to try to help the new guys to get acclimated to the team and the expectations you have?
Just get out of my comfort zone, be more of a leader and a listener too. Listening to what they see and how they feel about what's going on, and just telling them that every time you make a mistake or you do something that's not right, you're going to get a chance to improve and get better every day, because Coach Oats believes in his players and he's a player coach. So I just try to tell those guys to just stay in, stay locked in, and just get ready for the season. It's going to be a long ride and a fun journey.
Houston, last year you were hampered with some injuries. This year, healthy, looking to make a big contribution to the team. How's the body feel? What are your personal expectations for your play this season?
Yeah, body's feeling great. I'm blessed. Clark Holter, Henry, and Amanda, they did a great job with helping me come back to be able to be healthy and, just even be able to practice. Like, practice has been a lot of fun. I'm just trying to be kind of like a Swiss Army knife, like whatever the team needs, I'm there for. Be a leader this year and make sure the guys are prepared. I think we've done a great job. I don't think anybody prepares the way we do when it comes to video, practice, making sure we know what it is that we're trying to do. So I'm just really excited to be able to play this year.
What's going on, Bama fans? It's Rico Scott, a receiver here at the University of Alabama, and you're watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
Alabama fans, there's an exciting new opportunity for you getting ready for the Crimson Tide's game against the Oklahoma Sooners coming up in November, thanks to our friends at West Shore Home. 4 tickets against Oklahoma and plus pregame sideline passes, and you can also win a free shower from West Shore Home. Now, how do you sign up? Well, it's very easy. Just go online to RolledTide.com. We're going to do that here on this board. You will go to RolledTide.com, our main landing page. You'll go to the Fans tab and then Contest Central, which is really the place to go for any of the contests we run through the Crimson Tide Sports Network and Alabama Athletics. You're able to sign up for these all throughout the season, but right now we're focusing on a free shower from West Shore Home. You can enter to win right here. Put in your information. Some autographs are available, as well as that opportunity to win that free shower from West Shore Home. Again, it could not be easier here on RolledTide.com. Just fill out this simple form and you can be entered to win. Again, head to RolledTide.com. Take advantage of this amazing opportunity thanks to our friends at West Shore Home. Again, thank you to Richard Hendricks for joining us in Mountain Brook for SEC Basketball Media Days. Always fun to see him at that event. And again, he'll be on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, coming up a lot throughout this basketball season, in addition to his work that you can catch on the SEC Network. Well, speaking of great color analyst and former great Crimson Tide players, how about Tyler Watts? Tyler Watts, our color analyst for football. You saw him earlier in the booth cam highlights, and we give him time to talk about anything he wants on Monday nights with Crimson Tide Rewind, live at Baumhower's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills at 6 p.m. after every Alabama football game. It's always a lot of fun on Monday nights, and we got to talk about this great win for Alabama against South Carolina this past Monday, plus look ahead to what's coming up in November. The full edition can be found of Crimson Tide Rewind, of course, on the Alabama Insider podcast, as well as our YouTube channel, but this is the best of from Monday night, something we like to call Be Kind, Crimson Tide Rewind. And I'm Roger Hoover. It's great to talk to you, Tyler, after a Bama win again.
Boy, that was a nail-biter, wasn't it? Well, nothing was really going our way for most of that game except for that defensive unit, just playing outstanding the entire 4 quarters. When you had to have stops, you got them. They were able to generate points for the second consecutive week. So just an outstanding job to keep Alabama within striking distance. And we had the lead a majority of the game, but when it started to slip away there in the 3rd quarter, that defense just kind of buckled down a little bit harder, and then the late turnover obviously set up the game-winning touchdown that Jeremy Bernard was able to run it in. DK Smith or whatever, the defensive back for South Carolina let him in, but, trying to preserve a little bit of time on the clock. But once again, when Lenore Sellers, after the deep kickoff, started on the 10-yard line, he just had nowhere to go with the football. So just an outstanding job of that defensive unit, and you got to win every way that you possibly can, because Ty Simpson and that offense are not going to be, hitting on all cylinders every single week. But, boy, it's just like old school Alabama football. Defense travels.
Defense travels certainly did to Columbia, South Carolina this past week. And then the offense, again, when it had to make plays, that game-tying drive, and then obviously executing after the turnover in the red zone, certainly played well.
Yeah, when it was crunch time and you had to have the plays, the guys were stepping up and making them. And all of a sudden, a lack of running ability to run the football for the entire game showed up in the 4th quarter. And Jan Mill and Daniel Hill doing a great job of staying ahead of the chains, setting up second, third and short situations that we were able to capitalize and continue to move the chain. So it was one where, all right, we got to go. And this offense was able to make it happen.
Certainly did. Jeremy Bernard, of course, a great go-ahead touchdown for the Crimson Tide, and just some fun play calls, even on the 2-point conversion. Ryan Grubb, again, has quite a bag of tricks.
And you got to see Caden Proctor in the backfield. And I know
Sure did.
Anytime we cross the 10-yard line, is it time? Are they going to put him back there? Do you think they're going to do it? Do you think they're going to do it? They did, and it didn't go for any yardage this time. There's just too much penetration. This offensive line really struggled all day long with all 5 guys being able to get a hat on a hat and push the South Carolina defensive front around. And honestly, though, a couple of elite pass rushers on that Carolina defensive front. They were pretty big up front. They were flying around the football, and they continue to get better and make life tough on this Alabama front five all day long. But they're in the fourth quarter, like we talked about. We're able to push them, move them around a little bit, bought enough time for Ty Simpson to be able to digest what the defense was doing and deliver some darts down the field.
Is it time we stop questioning how this team plays on the road?
Well, look, end of the day, all you ever want to do is find a way to win.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not guaranteed to play your absolute best and blow everybody out by 20 points, but are you competitive? Do you have that chemistry to where you're finding ways to make plays happen? And this team, I think you kind of have a true DNA now that you're a scrappy bunch that even when things aren't going well, you're going to find a way to fight and just keep yourself in the ballgame. And when the opportunity presents itself, and this is kind of the biggest takeaway, when you have a chance to make a play, guys are making them right now.
Alabama was trying to come back. We'd seen Lenora Sellers have that 10-yard rush to put the Gamecocks in front to 22-14, and then that led to the 79-yard drive where Alabama went down the field and scored with Jeremy Bernard.
And more creative play calling, especially inside the 5-yard line by Coach Grubb of bringing Jeremy Bernard in the backfield and then having the flow go to the right, and it was like a pivot, and he's wide open to the left. Just completely got lost in coverage by the Carolina defense, but boy, we needed it right there, and that got that defense fired up one more time. And they said, all right, let's go get another stop and give our boys an opportunity to win this game in regulation.
It really did. A great takeaway for the Crimson Tide would help lead to Jeremy getting the go-ahead touchdown for Alabama, but some resolve for this football team, and you're really focused on that in between our breaks as well, and the commercial break, asking Corey, what's that mood like on the sideline? How is this team getting ready to try and come back and win this game?
Yeah, because unfortunately in years past when things weren't going well, you had some players who you depended on that would kind of go in a shell and just not have that fight that you wanted to, and Corey was optimistic the entire time. Hey, I mean, we have good enthusiasm on the sideline. Just got to start making some plays, and that's the thing about it is it's not like we were going against a defense where they were sacking us 15 times or nobody was getting open. The plays were there to be made. We just weren't making them. And you can kind of go, all right, one good throw, and I can get back in rhythm. One good play, and we can get some things going. And a couple of drives, we were able to do that. Stacking plays on top of one another, pushing the ball down the field, and scoring pretty quickly.
And then getting the running game going as well.
Yeah, especially there late in the fourth quarter when you had to stay ahead of the chains. You could still run it because it was a one-possession game. You had 8 minutes to go, I want to say, when we took over that ball. But all of a sudden it started hitting, and then you were hitting the intermediate throws and loosening up that defense. They weren't just focused on any one thing, and you started winning some one-on-one battles, which is what it takes.
That's what it took for Alabama to get this win, 29-22 against South Carolina. Again, we'll hear some of the huge calls coming up in just a bit. The Jeremy Bernard go-ahead touchdown and just some of the great moments from this win against South Carolina. But, Tyler, just kind of looking at this team as a whole, you got through this 5-game stretch in SEC play with the 5 wins you wanted to have. You have the winning streak now going at 7 since the Week 1 loss against Florida State. Just how have you seen this team week to week build on what they've done and keep getting better?
Well, they've won different ways, I think, is what's been interesting. Against Georgia and Missouri, they came out great on both sides of the ball, going into halftime with big leads, and then didn't kind of play as well as they wanted to in the second half, and all of a sudden it becomes a tight game, and you're relying on that defense to be able to shut the door against your opponent and keep that lead where it was. And then versus Tennessee, you build the big lead, then you come out, give up an early score in the second half, but then you respond offensively, and you're like, all right, now we're kind of starting to see it, and you keep that nice cushion and actually extend it a little bit more there in the fourth quarter. And then versus Carolina, it was, hey, we're not playing great, but everybody, when the opportunity presents itself, we got to be able to make a play. Defense has kind of been the consistent thing throughout this entire 5-game run. They have played great. They've forced turnovers. They've set up great field position. And regardless of what has happened, they have responded well by not giving up 2 consecutive scoring drives, I don't think, in any of those situations.
Alabama ties the game. You get that 2-point conversion. Carolina gets the ball back. And then the takeaway, we knew the defense had to have a stop, and we would have loved a takeaway. We got it.
Well, let's go back to the 2-point conversion, because to me, all right, Jeremy Bernard gets the touchdown. We got to go for 2 in order to tie it up. Another great call once again. Lots of movement, lots of misdirection to kind of freeze the Carolina defense and maybe just get one guy a little bit out of position, and it was enough to get Josh Cuevas to be able to slip over into the flat completely wide open, and a well-delivered ball. But that play right there, I knew we were going to win the game at that point, I think. I really felt strong that we were going to find a way to stop them, either take this thing into overtime or maybe have one last shot late on a field goal, because offense was churning, doing good. You knew that defense had finally had an opportunity to rest on the sideline. James Smith gets the offsides. It gives them a second and short. And then Tim Keenan and Deontay Lawson are right there corralling Lenora Sellers, and Deontay Lawson obviously strips it away. Heck of a play there. Tim Keenan laying on the ground kind of looks down and goes, "Hey, there's a football there. I guess I might as well grab it."
He
did, and it's a 1st and goal. And it still wasn't enough, or a first down for us. But we were still on the cusp of field goal range. I still felt that, all right, we got to get down to the 25-yard line to feel comfortable about this, and kept hovering around the 30, and a little too far for me.
Didn't matter. Most Alabama
it didn't
fans,
matter.
Yeah.
But I loved it. Even on that possession, you think about it, a minute or so to go, they had 1 or 2 timeouts, so they couldn't stop it. But we stayed aggressive.
Yeah.
We stayed aggressive by throwing high percentage passes around the line of scrimmage, trying to get it in space in playmakers' hands so that they could hopefully break a tackle. We weren't just running the ball up the middle and settling for the field goal, for the long field goal. We were trying to actively get it closer, and that shows the trust that you have in your quarterback and your receiving core to be able to make those plays.
Break down that play call, and especially the decision by South Carolina. DQ Smith just kind of let him go once he had the first down conversion, just let him go for the touchdown.
It's funny how 2 consecutive years in a row, the ball is in Jeremy Bernard's hands with an opportunity to end the game. The previous year, if you remember, in Tuscaloosa, he catches the pass from Jalen Milroe on 4th down and takes it into the end zone. We go up a score or something, but then South Carolina immediately responds and actually has ball in hand with an opportunity to win the ball game after they got the onside kick. So it was like everything was playing out the exact same. But I read an article today where Jeremy Bernard, they actually had a conversation at some point, and he had asked, "Hey, Coach, if I get the opportunity to score, do I score, or do you want me to step out of bounds?" So learned the lesson from last year, and Coach DeBoer said, "Hey, go score. Go score. Our defense is playing good. We're going to shut them down with 30 seconds. They're not going to get the ball." And I loved the kickoff. I mean, we squibbed it, and we were able to pin them inside the 10-yard line. That was a huge difference in that whole sequence of events. But heck of a play there. Still more misdirection, faking the ball. South Carolina, we were staying aggressive. They knew something was up. Ty Simpson fakes it like he's going to get the pitch, and it'd be a double pass. But good blocking out front, and you run it in for the touchdown. Makes a lot of people feel better.
What makes him such a go-to and versatile player?
He's just tough as nails is the biggest thing. He's a smart kid, but he's so good with the ball in space. He can make guys miss. I mean, think back a week ago versus Tennessee. We have a double pass called, it ain't there, and he is able to break 5 tackles to not only get back to the line of scrimmage but make it a 15-yard gain. Just some dudes have an instinct with making guys miss, not giving up on the play, keeping their legs turning, twist and turning, whatever it takes. And if you don't tackle, you're a little poor in that situation, he's going to find a way to make it a positive out of it.
He has a lot for the Crimson Tide. Again, a great leader on this team. Jeremy Bernard, somebody that Alabama can certainly rely on. And now we get ready for an open date, and it's time for this football team to rest up, heal up before what we know is coming in November.
Yeah, and you think about your wide receiver core. As deep as you were coming into the contest versus South Carolina, no Lottie Brooks, he's not available, so hopefully he'll have an opportunity to heal up. Isaiah Horton didn't play in the second half. Hopefully he'll have an opportunity to heal up. But everyone has bumps and bruises that I know they will appreciate a couple of days off of being able to get treatment and get back to as close as 100%, that max peak performance that they're always talking about, hitting on all cylinders, and be ready to go for this home stretch in the exact same place they were a year ago, where you have a 4-game schedule on your plate, and your future, your destiny is in your control. If you want to make Atlanta and compete for an SEC championship, it's right there in front of you. We beat LSU last year and then dropped the ball versus Oklahoma. They don't want to repeat that again, so I look for them to come out hungry. Regardless of the situation that's taking place down at LSU, it's going to be a great environment at 6:30 with that kickoff. So it'll be up to the fans to make sure the juices are going, but you know that they'll be ready to play.
Yeah, the next 3 games are at home. LSU, Oklahoma, and then Eastern Illinois as we step out of conference right before Thanksgiving. And then the Iron Bowl down in the Plains in Lee County on November 29th. So some important football is coming up for this football team. What makes you most comfortable about how this group is approaching week to week and getting ready for such an important stretch?
Well, we still have not seen a perfect game. We haven't seen them play at their absolute best all 4 quarters. So there's some improvement that can take place there. Look, here's another thing that we really hadn't talked about. How many more weeks are we away from potentially seeing Quay Rusol rejoin this defensive unit to add a little bit more depth and another body on that defensive front? So we continue to improve. We're winning in different ways. I think that there's more things that the running game has not been what we have wanted to. It doesn't necessarily mean that you get stubborn and you say we're going to run the ball 50 times, but that's an area that we can get better at. And it's going to be tough, though. I mean, LSU has a good defense. They're going to be getting healthy as well. Oklahoma makes life difficult for you. Their backs are against the wall. They're playing for a lot. So there's still a lot on the line, and the competition is not necessarily going to decrease as to what we've seen over the previous 5 weeks.
Crimson Tide Rewind always starts our week of programming here on the network. And again, this week, a little different with no football game, only one edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. I hope everyone was able to check out Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show presented by Outfit Insurance last night as well. But as we take a look at our upcoming schedule, we're really going to focus on everything coming up next week, because even if we're taking it easy a bit this week, next week is going to be jam-packed here on the network. Let's take a look at what's coming up. Well, starting on Monday, we will have that women's and men's basketball doubleheader, of course, coming up at Coleman Coliseum. 4 p.m. for the women's game against Stetson, 7 o'clock for the men's game against North Dakota. And don't forget the airtime coming up at 6 p.m. Full radio coverage, courtside cam available as well on our social media platforms. Tuesday, we'll be back with the show Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR, Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock. Hey Coach on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. with Coach DeBoer returning to Baumhauer's in Tuscaloosa after he joined Chris Stewart over the phone last night. And then Thursday as well, I mentioned Crimson Drive returns for that Thursday edition, but also women's basketball later that night against McNeese State coming up at 6 p.m. And then on Saturday, it'll be busy here on the network with men's basketball and, of course, football. Men's basketball against St. John's at Madison Square Garden in New York City. That'll be a 10 a.m. airtime for that broadcast, and then football will get on the air at 3:30 to lead up to the kickoff at 6:30. Again, we'll start our coverage at Vector Security Champions Lane. Starting at 3:30, check out championslane.com for more information. It's going to be such a good party leading up to Alabama against LSU under the lights. So again, a lot coming up, especially next week. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms at UA_CTSN for the latest on Alabama athletics, plus some behind-the-scenes looks at our broadcast here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And especially if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss anything. Hear from us on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. It's going to wrap up this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Again, thanks to the Alabama men's and women's basketball coaches and players that joined us in Mountain Brook a couple weeks ago at SEC Basketball Media Days, and then a fun time as well with Tyler Watts with Crimson Tide Rewind and Chris Stewart with the Booth Cam highlights as well, presented by Regions. A great show on this Thursday afternoon that was put together by our video producer, Ethan Carabin. We appreciate Ethan and all his hard work here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. For all of us with the Crimson Tide Sports Network, I'm Roger Hoover saying thank you for watching on this Thursday. The next time we talk on this show, again Tuesday at 2 o'clock, talking basketball, talking football. It's all happening as the calendar turns to November, and we can't wait for what should be a great month for the Crimson Tide. Until then, have a safe Halloween weekend. We'll see you next week. Roll Tide.